The last time I spoke to so many people at an OurCrowd event was February 13th in Jerusalem at the OurCrowd Global Investor Summit. It was a very, very different world at that point. We didn't really know what was to come. We had not any idea about really the social distancing that we were all going to experience, the kinds of things that today seem so different. When you look at these scenes of the conference and you realize how close we were, how many hugs we gave, and this happened all 5 days before Israel reported its first case. In fact, we sort of thought that the whole pandemic was something that was happening elsewhere, that we should get involved with, but it wasn't here yet. We want to send a shout out to all of our friends in China and in Asia, who our thoughts are with you. Chazak ve'ematz, as we say in Hebrew. Be strong and be of courage. We are in this fight together. This virus will be fought by all of the world. This is a global world emergency. So even though we hadn't experienced the pandemic firsthand, we knew there was a global problem. I'm not sure we knew how big of a problem it was, what the wreckage would be in terms of human lives, what the number of cases would be in the world where we're now over 8 million cases and approaching 500,000 deaths. And we wouldn't have even known what would happen here in our country of Israel in terms of the almost 20,000 cases and the 300 or so deaths. But it's interesting when you look at the Israeli experience, we often feel that we're a little ahead of the curve. Unfortunately, that's true in this case. We are now experiencing the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic here in Israel. If you look at where we were just literally a couple of weeks ago, we had it licked. We had it on the run. We were down to 5 cases a day, but not anymore. Yesterday, it was up to 300 cases. And so the second wave has started. We also, back in those days, didn't know what the absolutely horrific impact was going to be on the startup community. That when you look at this data from the Bloomberg Startup Barometer, you'll see that it's down over 40%. Public markets have come back. The startup markets have not come back. But we at OurCrowd moved into high gear. We felt that there was an imperative, a startup imperative, to fight the pandemic and to get our companies moving, to take advantage and to be on the front lines leading in this struggle. And so if you look at what happened since the beginning of March, we have almost 30 companies who've successfully raised new rounds of funding, which is remarkable when you look at the data worldwide that our companies have been able to do that. But more importantly, looking at how many of our companies are playing a major role in either on the medical side, working on vaccines, working on diagnostics, on telemedicine, on analysis via AI, or those who are leading in the new normal, helping us understand and live with these new trends that are emerging as a result of the crisis. So our companies are on this front line, and we here have an imperative today to feature these companies, to understand what they're doing, to hear from them about their innovations, and to get the chance to support them as investors and as active participants in this struggle. We are working on making sure that several of our companies are raising not just good-sized rounds, but big rounds of money. And it's amazing that these are companies that you see here on this slide, like BioCatch, with a $145 million round announced post-pandemic, or companies like TytoCare with $50 million, or Site Diagnostics at a $50 million rate. These are important milestones of companies proving that even in the pandemic, an impact can be made. And finally, there's a question of whether or not this is a great time to be making investments. Because when you look at the trends that are now affecting the world, these are trends that started before. The pace of change has picked up, And now you can see the companies who are taking advantage of these new digital transformative events. Science itself is changing in terms of the collaboration across borders, and the degree to which companies are innovating is absolutely striking. We believe that it's actually a very effective time to invest because not only are financial crises often good entry points into the market, in this case, the private market, but in addition, it is a social inflection point. These changes in society, whether it's socially distanced work or distance learning or new needs to protect ourselves against cyber hacking, these are the new normal, which absolutely indicate a new opportunity to take advantage of big trends. And finally, we're seeing high signal-to-noise ratio in these successful companies. Today, you'll hear from several companies who are growing in the pandemic, whose revenues are going up, who are acquiring new customers, and who are both doing well and doing good. So with these opening comments, I welcome you to this conference. We look forward to having a great day together.